Hello aspirants and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. In this session, we'll be talking about the news that is coming in that India has struck another deal for the induction of 26 new Rafale M aircraft, which matters a lot for the Indian Navy. We will see why is that so. We're talking about the Rafale M over here. So there is another kind of Rafale. We'll see the difference between them as well and see the importance of this induction, what it brings to the Indian Navy. So let's get started. What is the news? India and France. So this Rafale which is there, it is written as R-A-F-A-L-E and pronounced as Rafale. Now Rafale in French means a wind of fire. A burst of wind or a burst of fire is the meaning of this word Rafale, which is a French word. So it is of course produced by France. So India and France have on Monday signed a $7.4 billion, that is approximately 63,000 crore, in which it's a government to government contract. So it's not private player or private party, but government to government direct contract, which is there for 26 Rafale M. Rafale M means the Rafale Marine. So what is Rafale Marine? Basically, these are the fighter jets that can take off from the ocean itself. How from the ocean? They will be standing on the aircraft carrier. For example, INS Vikrant. These are aircraft carrier ships which are deployed in the ocean, and these aircraft that are there, for example Rafale, will be deployed over there on the ship deck, and they do not need a land runway to take off in the air, but can take off just from the deck of the INS Vikrant or any such aircraft carrier. That is why it is Rafale M, which is Rafale Marine. Now the other kind of Rafale is the IAF Rafale, that is the Indian Air Force's Rafale. That would require a land-based runway to take off from. That is the difference between both of them. Both of them are of France, of course. So this is the new deal that we have brokered. Now this is going to help Indian Naval Aviation a lot. So we have heard Indian Army, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force. Now here we are talking about Naval Aviation. That means naval, the navy, the ships, submarines, etc. are included, plus we are talking about aviation. So the aircraft will also be included. So what is then naval aviation? It is nothing but the use of military equipment, or let's say aircraft, all these things, fighter jets, etc. by the navy. So aviation related things, aviation related equipment, jets, aircraft, all these things are used by navies. How they can use it? Because these navies have aircraft carriers. For example, INS Vikrant, which is a big aircraft carrier which can have huge number of aircrafts on its deck, and these aircraft can take on from the deck of INS Vikrant or the aircraft carriers itself. So this is what is meant by the naval aviation. Utilization of the aviation power, the jets, etc. by the Indian Navy is nothing but naval aviation. Now what is the role of naval aviation? Number one, fleet air defense. It of course provides us with air defense. So naval aviation will provide air defense. What are we meaning to say by this? So in the ocean, two ships are there who are fighting. Now this let's say the jet or Rafale which is there, which can take off from the deck and provide an air cover to the navy which is fighting in the ocean. So that is what is meant by air defense provided to your naval equipment, naval ships, etc. Then strategic power projection. It allows you to project power in the Indian Ocean, in the surrounding regions, in your continental shelf, so on and so forth. Moving ahead, supporting amphibious warfare. Amphibious, amphibian animals which can survive in water as well as on land. So this is going to support your amphibian warfare. That means aiding marine landings and operations inland as well. So on land as well as in the sea or on the ocean. Then mine countermeasures. Using aircraft, we can detect a lot of mines which might be there deep in the ocean, below the water surface, which can destroy the which can destroy the submarines, which can destroy our navy ships, etc. So it can detect it from the air if any such mines are there. So it is used for the countermeasures against mines as well. Right, I hope that's clear. Now let us understand what is an aircraft carrier which we are talking about. One example that I gave was INS Vikrant. INS means Indian Naval Ship Vikrant. This is the photo of the Indian Naval Ship Vikrant. You can see that there is a huge amount of space over here. So the aircraft would be here in the hangar, and one of them can run on this runway deck and simply take off from the INS Vikrant itself. So what is an aircraft carrier? It is like a ship which a huge deck which is there, so that you can have the aircraft or the jets deployed on this, and then these jets can take off from the deck of this ships or the deck of this aircraft carrier itself. So what are these? They are warship that serves a sea-going airbase equipped with full-length flight deck. So it serves as the runway for the aircraft that would be deployed on them. Right, now coming on to the fact, why does India need aircraft carriers? Of course, all the naval aviation benefits we saw, to actually implement those benefits, we need aircraft carriers. How does it help? Strategic deterrence and power projection. So that will help us gain more strategic advantage, because if you talk about ships, they might be stationary or even moving with a slow speed, so it can garner or cater to only the limited area. But if you have aircraft on that, you can do surveillance, you can have strategic advantage in that situation. Then you have protection of maritime interests. The maritime boundary needs to be protected. So how many ships will you have? So that is why you can do surveillance, etc. with the use of the aircraft as well. Then you have blue water navy capability. What is the definition of blue water navy? Blue water navy capability. India is one of the blue water navies of the world, USA being the other. Now what is meant by blue water navy? That means, see, this is India's maritime boundary. So when you have a blue water navy, that means you cannot just take care or fight wars within the continental shelf or very close to the Indian border, but you can also fight in the international waters as well. That means you have a huge amount of capability to fight wars and to deter enemies from a long distance. And how that can be made possible? With the help of Rafale and aircrafts like that, which are deployed on the aircraft carriers. So that is how it helps. Continuous operational readiness. It will be ready to operate anywhere in the Indian Ocean. And there are some non-military roles as well. For example, humanitarian and disaster relief, if you have to provide, it is faster and easier to deploy that strategically as well. Now, how will the Rafale M help? This is the most important point. So let us understand this. At present, we have certain capable fourth generation aircraft. So what is this? One example is MiG-29KS is a fourth generation aircraft which we already have present with us. So why Rafale then? See, if you talk about fourth generation, the next is basically going to be the fifth generation which India is developing, but this fifth generation will be ready by the middle of next decade. So you can say by 2035. So there is another 10 years there. So what do? We continue to use fourth generation till we achieve fifth? No, that's when we are moving ahead with Rafale. Rafale is a 4.5 generation battle proven combat aircraft. So it is better than the fourth generation, not as good as the fifth probably, because it's yet to be developed. It will be even better, but it is better than the fourth generation. So we are moving ahead of the fourth generation till the time we can get the fifth generation. That is why we are relying on Rafale, which is a 4.5 generation aircraft. Right. Now, one big advantage of going with Rafale M rather than any other aircraft is also the fact that our Indian Air Force also has Rafales. They have a lot of Rafales with them. They are Indian Air Force. They can take off from the land runways, and Rafale M is the one which can take off from the aircraft carrier itself. So when you have both of the same car, same make, same company, so the interoperability becomes easier. The coordination, the communication, interoperability will become easier because the IAF, Indian Air Force, already has the Rafale with us. So this will provide us with a lot of commonality, which will give rise to interoperability. Means the interoperability between the Navy, the Air Force, between the different jets, that is taking off, this Rafale taking off from the land and this Rafale taking off from the deck, the interoperability will be better. If you talk about these Rafale is known as Rafale M. These Rafales are known as Rafale C and Rafale B. Rafale C is the single engine, Rafale single seat, and this Rafale B is the dual seat. So we have with us Rafale C is what we are talking about with the Indian Air Force, which will be interoperable with Rafale M, that is the maritime marine, which we are talking about. So it gives us that advantage as well. Before that, the major advantage is that we have 4th generation. 5th generation is going to take time. So Rafale is 4.5 generation, which is better than the present 4th generation. As a result of which, this deal makes a lot of sense. Thank you.